I needed to start.
Okay, Joseph, thanks for coming. I appreciate you coming to the counseling session again for me. As
How
usual,
you gonna start?
like we're talking about
Okay.
confidentiality, and just so if some things you tell me, if it was a threat to someone else, I'm required to report it to authorities, or if you were suicidal or homicidal or something like that. So, can you tell me if there's something in particular that's frustrating you this week or bothering you this
No,
week?
I just had a very frustrating week last week when I, closing on a home with a customer.
Oh, okay. So you're a real estate agent. What
Yes.
exactly happened that was frustrating about
His
this one?
mother was wanting all of the information, and he's an adult. The home was only in his name, wasn't in her name at all, but she wanted every bit of information, and I couldn't give her that.
So she
So it
wanted to
was,
be involved in the process as well.
but she wanted the process to be right about everything that she wanted and not about anything that he wanted. He basically didn't have a say. So I almost did not get the deal closed because I had to, get him on board and let him know this is your deal, not your mother's. And I'm not, by law, I couldn't listen to his mother.
Sure.
I had to follow his directives. So I had to, I guess, pretty much make him understand he was an adult.
Was that comfortable for you?
No, it was very, very frustrating
As,
because I was working with the grown man and felt like I was working with the kid because everything that every conversation we had, every meeting we had, that his mother would call me, and she wanted me to have that conversation with her, and then a meeting with her as well, and I refused to do that. So I'm pretty much I almost let the deal. I almost let him get him another agent.
so you felt like you were having to do double work in that case?
Not necessarily. No, I was just having to have her to understand that the actual deal had nothing to do with her, because if there was anything that he didn't like at the close of the real estate deal that his mother made a decision about, then he could have come back and sued me because it was his mother's decision and not his, and I refused to listen to his mother. He was pretty much giving his mother the right to, but he wouldn't give it on paper.
Have you had to have a client? Was this probably one of the most
Yes.
frustrating clients that you had ever had?
It was, because not only was it a real estate transaction, it was a HUD transaction as well. So it was dealing with the, I guess you would call it a state foreclosed home as well. So that's even trickier. And so his mother was just, I had to make her understand that she's not my client, he is. And so we got it done, but it was difficult.
So is HUD transactions more difficult to work with as a
Much,
real estate agent?
much more difficult.
Okay, so doing this also,
Well,
so doing this you found it very frustrating working with her.
yes.
Were you
Yeah.
were you able to resolve it in any way?
Yeah, at the closing table, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we were at the closing table in the title company, and the deal was getting ready to just go back. And so the title clerk told him that he needed to speak to his mother and have his mother refrain from giving directives when her name was nowhere on the contract. And he decided that he did want his house, and he told his mother to hush, which is what I wanted to tell her the entire time. But he told her to hush, and his father was also there, and his father asked his mother to please let him handle his business as a grown man. And so we eventually got all the paperwork signed on the dotted line, and I gave him his keys, and that was that. But it was a very, very, very difficult procedure, and never will I do another one like that with another, excuse my analogies, but mama's boys. I'm not doing deals with mama's boys again.
So it was almost wasn't worth whatever you may
No.
have the frustration from it.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, you have to know sometimes you have to give up something to get something, and that I was willing to walk away from. Because, I mean, it wasn't, again, like I said, it was a HUD house, so it wasn't a very high dollar sale anyway. But to say the least, it was not at all worth the frustration, because I even had to, well, I had to even work for him on his loan side, because the loan officer was a friend of mine, or someone that I had done business with before. So I had to pretty much gather the documents for him that she would ask him for, because his mother was giving him instructions not to give her this and not to give her that. So I had to do double work. I really had to work on both sides to get this deal closed.
Sounds like your client was almost immature both ways, letting his mother run, not getting the proper materials. So it's almost as though you were dealing with a child in this very adult-like situation.
Very, very.
So you did say you were successfully able to close this transaction?
Yes, I was, and on a lot of my deals, when I closed the transactions, I'd buy him an appliance or something. He didn't get anything because I didn't make enough money, and for the time that I spent, the only thing I did was because it was a HUD house, all the locks are the same on all of the HUD homes. So you have to change the locks. They have to change the locks on them. So I bought him a set of locks, and I changed the locks. I had the locks changed for him, and gave him his new keys, to his home. But that's all I did. I refused to buy a refrigerator, a stove, or anything, microwave even, because I made very, very, very little.
And is that something you normally do with your client? Is you agree so?
Right. It depends on the deal. Depends on the commission, and it depends on how easy the transaction is. But on one like this, I never had one like this before. As a matter of fact, I felt like he owed me, even after I got paid.
Now that it's over and it's I guess it was satisfactory. Do you see this as being a repeat customer if he called you again?
Never.
So now you.
No, never. Some, again, like I said, some customers you don't want again, and that's definitely one that I don't want.
Okay.
And don't have a problem saying no to it.
So it sounds like, if I understand correctly, it wasn't so much HUD in itself, the transaction.
No, it wasn't the transaction or the
it was just
type
the client.
Of transaction. It was the client and all the dynamics that came with that client.
And absolutely just too frustrating of a job.
Because his sister called after and wanted me to take her on as a client. And I told her absolutely not. Absolutely not. I would take no one from that family. And I absolutely mean that.
And do you find each transaction to be as frustrating?
No.
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 So I'm assuming a great deal of joy. You've been a real estate agent for a while.
Absolutely. Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So do you feel like you could put this closing behind you now, lesson learned, and ready to move on?
Absolutely.
Well, okay.
Certainly.
Well, thank you for doing this, and I look forward to our next set. Any questions for me?
None, sir.
All right, thank you.
We're finished.
We're done.